What harmful things are being taught to children? Not owning up to their mistakes or blaming them on others. Also, there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. That's the beginning of true wisdom. Even better, I don't know, but I can find out. Or, I don't know, but we can find out together, if you're the parent. This is why I'm now watching a documentary on YouTube about box jellyfish. Lol. Yup. My daughter asks tons of questions and lately she's been into sharks. I think I've watched every shark/whale/any animal video on YouTube with her. This has been so hard for me to learn, namely, making a mistake and owning up to it without making any excuses. I think people also need to learn the difference between excuses and reasons. I have to reiterate to people constantly that when I explain why I didn't do something or I did it incorrectly, it's not an excuse. An excuse has the connotation of intentional negligence. To me, an explanation is just a genuine reason for an accident. Like, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to forget to call you back. I've been busy all day. To me, that's not an excuse. I think when people give excuses, it's bullshit. I prefer people be upfront with me. Tell me you forgot. Tell me you had other obligations. Tell me how you were busy with family and that was more important at the moment. I don't like liars. Honesty should be valued more, and I think it's important to remember with the idea of excuses and such. I have such a hard time telling people I had a reason. It sounds like an excuse, no matter how I phrase it. Like, I had to go to the eye doctor last minute because one of the rests on my glasses popped off and disappeared, so the document is a few hours late. I don't know why. It is legitimately what happened, but even to me it sounds weak. My biggest parenting tip: apologize to your kids when you mess up. When my 5-year-old has a rough behavior day, I'll ask if she wants to start over, and we pretend to go to sleep and wake up. We ask how each other slept and pretend like whatever argument we were having just never existed. If it's towards the end of the day, I'll say, it's okay sweetheart, we can try again tomorrow. About a year ago I was having a terrible day. Work was awful, dinner didn't come out right, and she was being just so. Point 4. I would grouse at her to get off me, put the crayons away, stop making that noise, the couch is not a jungle gym. When it came time for bed, I laid her down and said, I'm sorry, I was being snippy with you today, and you didn't do anything wrong. She reached up to hug me and said, it's okay mama, we can try again tomorrow. That's when I suddenly realized I was doing okay with the whole teaching empathy thing. What to think instead of how to think. I love this and wish it was higher up. I tried finding the study that I'm thinking about, but I can't seem to find it on Google. The gist of the study was that they took 2 groups of kindergartners. One group of kindergartners was given a type of toy and specifically told that it makes noise. The other group of kindergartners was given the toy, but not told whatsoever what that toy does. The group that was specifically told with the toy does only played with the toy to make it make noise. The other group, that was not told what it does, was able to play with the toy and found that the toy not only makes noise, but lights up, stretches, etc. The conclusion of the study was that when children are told something, rather than letting them figure it out themselves, they are less likely to work out problems and experiments for themselves. I strongly believe this feeds into adulthood, with standardized testing and multiple choice questions. I don't know what an educational system without those types of tests would look like, but I certainly hope we continuously work towards improving a teaching style that has shown to limit problem-solving skills. I've long felt that no one should ever fail a test. If you get answers wrong, you should be required to find the right answer and correct it. Repeat until you get everything right, with whatever additional instruction is required to get you there. It is not important to know the right answer all the time on demand. It is very important, however, to know how to get the right answer, how to understand why something is right or wrong, and exceptionally important to learn that it is okay to be wrong, as long as you correct yourself. I feel that grading tests the way we do, at least in the USA, causes people to be programmed that being wrong is bad. And that causes people to fight incredibly hard to never admit they were wrong, which leads to quite possibly most of the rest of the problems we have with our society. It would require an overhaul of the US educational system. A good start would be requiring that everyone have slack study hall time built into their schedule to do whatever needs to be done, including test retakes. A student doesn't need to be crammed into maximum study with 10-minute intermissions between classes with a lunch break. Tests should be given with the intent of aiding the student in learning and finding gaps in their knowledge. Tests should not be given with simply X's and points deducted and that's it. It should say along the lines of, this question/section tests your understanding of subject. If you got this question wrong, read X page Y. In a nasty divorce, the parents may only talk about each other's bad qualities and the kid or kids may have an issue/issues with their parents. Yep, my parents, especially my mom, only ever say you're just like your other parent when it's something negative. Led to some serious self-esteem issues that I'm still trying to work through into adulthood. Jesus, my mom did that for years, and it was so GD manipulative. I show that I'm upset or pissed, you remind me of your father. Totally, my two friends' dad is like that, constantly talking shit about their mom and straight up lying about the stuff he did which led to the divorce. Their mom does similar things, but she's a lot less manipulative. She just tells it how she sees it, omitting her cheating of course. The older sibling tells me that he doesn't have much attachment to either parent, and says that he'd be fine just leaving our hometown and never seeing them again. The younger one says she loves her dad, but doesn't like him, and while she is somewhat close to her mom, she still talks with her boyfriend about moving far away when she can. This one bums me out. My parents divorced when I was 10, and my mom never said a bad word about my dad, but my dad, and then later my stepmom said lots of terrible things about my mom. My brothers and I ended up believing it for too long. Repeating things to my mom, saying dad was better, we wanted to live with him. It wasn't until I was 14, and my dad yelled at me during a visit that I was a CB just like your mom. I cried to my mom once home. She said I was old enough to know, then proceed to tell me that my dad was an alcoholic. I started figuring that out around then already, and was physically and mentally abusive to her and to us when we were smaller, and she was just trying to keep us safe. And that all the time she didn't let us visit was because he was in rehab. He had technically kidnapped us and was in jail. As an adult, my brothers and I could see she was a way bigger person. She'd always respond to our hateful parroting with, "That's okay, I still love you very much." Or if we said we hated her, she'd say, "I love you enough for the both of us." And the only things she'd say about my dad was, "He is fighting an illness. He loves you." I wish he wouldn't say those things. They are hurtful. We all came to see it for what it was. When we got older, we saw my stepmom's black eyes. He was meaner to us again once they had kids. He drank more openly, or we noticed it more. Soon we didn't visit anymore, and we all repaired our relationships with our mom. But man, we still talk to each other about how awful and guilty we feel treating her the way we did when we were all under 14 years old. We didn't know better. Your comment brought that memory back to the forefront. I'm going to call my mom. You do not have to play with everyone. There is a total lack of social accountability. If Laura is always cheating at tag, it's okay to not let her play. If little Billy throws sand in the sandbox, little Tommy does not have to play with him. Laura and Billy need to learn how to play appropriately. My son's preschool has a strict "you do not have to play if you don't want to" policy. No one has to play with anyone they don't want to play with. No one has to hug or touch anyone or be touched if they don't want it. No one has to share their toys or other school supplies if they aren't done with it. In fact, the preschool teacher will go over and referee and say, "Is Bobby done with the toy car?" No? Then Mickey, you have to wait until he is done. It's pretty refreshing. I wanted to let you know there are new philosophies in my son's preschool really strongly teaches body autonomy. Your body is your own and no one can touch it or make you do anything with it without your permission. It wasn't official policy, but we had a lot of discretion in the daycare I worked at. I did almost all the things you listed in the post. Some of it was a conscious effort and some of it was natural. I remember at first seeing the surprise on the 3-year-olds' faces when I said no, to me does not have to give you that toy. And wouldn't you know, a week into the routine and the kids wouldn't fight. I think telling kids that you can just walk up and take something because sharing causes more fights. They are tiny humans and they deserve to have some agency. Saying no to unwanted touch, saying no to other kids who are bothering them, and not telling them to get along. And I had the best behaved class. Anecdotal, but I know it mattered. God, I wish this was true. When I was a kid, 90s, we got inclusivity rammed down our throats. You have to play with everyone. Which, even as a bullied outsider kid, I knew wasn't good for anyone. Happened to my son in middle school. A kid sucker punched my son. My son then fought back and pinned the kid against the wall. He has long arms and punched him a few times. The school called me and my wife and told us our son was suspended. We went to the school and they said, even though multiple witnesses as well as the kid said he threw the first punch, that the school had a zero tolerance policy, so our son would be suspended. We asked what the school believed our son should have done, and they said he should just walk away. We told them that he would not be receiving any punishment at home, and that the policy was mucked up. That's for their insurance policies. They don't give a d what happens to the kids in that scenario, as long as they don't get sued.